I am Kathy Dice from Red Fern Farm. I work here as the grunt, the bookkeeper, the publicist. I plant trees, I pot up trees. These are baby pecans. This is an example of the seed tray that will have the babies sprouting in. I mow, I graft, I do what needs to be done here on the farm. So we bought this property in 1986-87, the winter of, right at the worst part of the farm crisis. So we were able to afford. It was timber land mostly that we purchased, so we got it really, really cheap. And when we came out here, we got about 3/4 of an acre of flat land and 55 acres of rolling, hilly timber. We were really excited. And we got the bit of flat land to be where we built our house. And that's where we're standing right now. And right where we're standing used to be a soybean field. In fact, we got it just at the end of the soybean field. And there was nothing here. It was bare dirt and it had been farmed hard. I mean, this person did not use any conservation practices. Our timber had humongous erosion gullies in it. So we got that cleaned up. We've started to control the runoff going into those gullies, so they are reforesting and they're replanting themselves. And just this whole area now is green and lush with a variety of trees and shrubs and bushes, and we're also got our nursery growing here too. So some people might say, well, you took it out of production. I would say we've brought it into more production than what it was before. And the other land that we took from our neighbors, that we bought from them, they had it in hay fields and pasture, and then they planted some chestnut trees. And when we took over management, we planted more trees. We started mowing between the trees so that the trees really, which had been struggling, fighting against brome and alfalfa, once we controlled the brome and alfalfa, the trees started to grow, and they were like, oh, they were so happy. And we increased the diversity. So I would say what we have done is we've increased soil health, we've increased the organic matter, we've increased the green of all around us. We've gotten things to be extremely productive. So there's a lot more food for people growing on this land.
Hi, my name is Patrick O'Malley. I'm a commercial horticulture field specialist with Iowa State University Extension and Outreach. I work with all aspects of commercial horticulture, nursery, greenhouse, turf grass, but probably do most of it in the fruit and vegetable and to a certain degree nut area now. Well, I heard there was this opportunity for the women impacting agriculture, and I thought, well, who impacts agriculture more than Kathy and her husband Tom, who both grow some very unusual things, at least for Iowa. And they've been very successful on things like the chestnuts, and now they're heavily into the pawpaws and the Asian pears and persimmons and aronia and many other things I could go through. One of the neat conservation practices they do is the fact that they've got these perennial trees and perennial shrubs, like more of a permaculture type thing that doesn't really have it turn into soil erosion because you've got the permanent cover, the grass cover. So the soil remains in place. In fact, it actually over time is building up and becoming a better soil, richer, higher organic matter. I think that's an amazing thing. They try to use as little, if any, chemicals at all on any of their crops. And they strive for getting crops that really don't need to have too many chemical inputs of any sort, whether it's fertilizer or spraying.
Our tree crops, the way we're trying to do agriculture is we're not contributing to the pesticides in the air. We're not contributing to any kind of groundwater pollution. We're in fact helping to clean up the groundwater. There are many measures where they're trying to encourage people to plant more trees and to have conservation buffers along water and too. But they're often pushing for trees that do not produce a crop, that you can't make any income off of. And we're trying to show people you can plant trees, you can have that permanent cover there and make an income, a really nice income. We're most successful with the chestnuts right now. We make really good money off the chestnuts. The pawpaws are starting to come along, and in the future we hope to show that honeyberries, persimmons, heartnuts will all be a very viable crop as well. And because we're interplanting so many different types together, we have such diversity, we're mimicking nature. So we do not have disease problems or pest problems that you will see in a monoculture such as a field of corn or a field of soybeans, where you have to manage carefully, because if you get a pest in there, if you get a disease in there, you can have humongous problems because it will spread so rapidly through that whole field. When we're growing our crops, our trees, we might have a cluster of chestnuts together, a cluster of pawpaws together, and so we might lose 10 or 30. But then the disease has nowhere to go because there's another species right next to it.
I really like the aspect that they are trying these crops like chestnut and pawpaw and Asian pear and persimmon that have a lot of potential here in Iowa. And I think both she and her husband Tom do a lot of outreach as well, promoting these various fruits, or at least exposing people to them and educating them about these different fruits.
On my farm, I greatly enjoy myself. I've developed a farm with my husband that's beautiful, that's healthy, where I can go out and pick fruit and eat it right off the tree. I don't have to worry about herbicides or pesticides. It's a safe farm, it's good for the environment, it's productive, and it's good for my community. All the things you need for sustainable agriculture.